Here we go, boys. Back with another nuclear as fuck take. As if my YouTube statistics weren't already shit enough. PA Works is a pretty famous studio, and to me are really consistent. Sure, they occasionally falter, like there's the ending of Charlotte, but for the most part, they make absolute bangers. So when I started A Lull on the Sea, I had relatively high expectations. Coupled with the higher than average rating on my anime list, I had myself a series to look forward to. God fucking damn was I let down, bros. I won't do a full show roundup, but basically, A Lull in the Sea is set on Earth, but where there are people who live in the ocean, in a village called Shio... Oh, for fuck's sake. Shio Shishio. Yep. Actually, humanity started out in the ocean, but then some people evolved and went onto land. The sea god wasn't that happy, so the land motherfuckers performed a ritual called Ofuneki. Probably butchering that too. Essentially, they sent out a sacrifice to the sea god called Ojoshi, who was like a woman. The sea god took her in and loved her and had a bunch of babies, and it was great. Now, remember that, because it'll become important during my rant. The tradition was kept up every year, but they stopped sending real-ass people a very long time ago, and instead just send a doll in the sacrifice's place. The people under the sea have Enna, which is basically an extra layer of magic skin that allows them to breathe and I guess walk in the ocean. The people of the ocean and the people of the surface don't get along that well. The main story focuses on a main set of characters. Hikari, a loud, emotional kid. Monika, a ditzy, airheaded girl. Chisaki, a more adult-acting girl. Kaname, a calmer, rational guy. And Tsumugu, a rather emotionless, more calculating dude. The first four are all childhood friends from under the sea. Sorry, I had to make that joke once. But their school closes and they are forced to attend school on the surface, where they meet Tsumugu. For the first 12 episodes, it shows off their daily life, sort of, before it's revealed that global warming, or something, is gonna freeze the Earth. The people of Shio Shishio are gonna go into hibernation because the NL will allow them to sleep through this ice age, the Great Calamity. Because Hikari's sister, Akari, yep, those are the names. Because Hikari's sister Akari has a boyfriend on the surface, the four of the main children decide to hold this Ofuneki. But Akari will be in place of the doll, because it'll also be their wedding ceremony. The ceremony goes absolutely tits up. Hikari, Monika, and Kaname are all sucked into the ocean, into the village, where they go into hibernation. Chisaki and the rest are, as well as Hikari, are all left on the surface. Then Hikari, Kaname, and eventually Monika wake up, and still the same age they were 5 years ago. And they begin to figure stuff out, and then as the story progresses, Miuna and Tsumugu both end up getting themselves Enna. So they hold another Ofuneki, it goes tits up, but this time, a bunch of their feelings melt into the sea god. The sea god's like, ah shit, my bad. He releases everybody. Then the people of Shio Shishio wake up because of Miuna is able to get Enna, despite the fact that she was a child of a surface and a Shio Shishian, so that there is hope that, you know, this great calamity will be survivable, but then it turns out that they somehow stops the great calamity or whatever. Happy ending. Now, time to get into the rant part. So the biggest problem I have is the romance. Now you might be thinking, well Sam, you didn't mention any romance in that synopsis. Well, that's because those were the important plot points. However, the entire story focuses on romance, and oh my god, it's so annoying! Okay, let me start by breaking down the love here. There's love web. How about I make an easy diagram for all of you guys to follow? Alright, so, Hikari loves Monika, but from the outset of the show, Hikari and everyone else, including us, the audience, are led to believe that Monika loves Tsumugu. Okay, fine. A love triangle that goes into the people of the sea can't be with the people of the ocean topic to drive the plot. Whatever, that's fine. Then, we learn Chisaki is in love with Hikari. It's like, okay, I guess. Come on now. then, we learn that Kaname is in love with Chisaki. Like, hello? Is the only point of tension that the writers can come up with unrequited love? Okay, but there's also a classmate that kind of seems interested in Kaname, so we'll put her, along with the younger girl Sayu, here in this Kaname circle. Sayu and Miuna become important because, you know, despite being 5 years younger, Miuna ends up falling in love with Hikari, and then it becomes relevant after the time skip. So all of this is pre-time skip. Then, after time skip, we learn one of Miuna's classmates is in love with her. So you know what? I feel bad for him, so let's give him his own circle, because he doesn't get much screen time. Then, Kaname and Hikari wake up, and because Miyuna and Sayu are now the same age as the two boys, they go full steam ahead with their feelings. But we're still not done, because despite the fact that the two of them didn't have much to do with each other before the time skip, and actually fought a couple of times, it is revealed that Tsumugu is not in love with Manika, but is in fact in love with Chisaki. Yep! So, for a quick review, Hikari loves Manika, Manika apparently loves Tsumugu, Tsumugu has apparently been in love with Chisaki for 5 years, Chisaki loves Hikari, Kaname loves Chisaki, Sayu and Random Girl A love Kaname, Miyuna loves Hikari, and Random Dude A loves Miyuna. So in the end, we have this... this fucking... Fuck you, dude. In the end, we have this love penis. That's right. This is my magnum opus, my masterpiece. Can you name the amount of pairs that actually get together and love each other back? The answer is 2. Well, it's more like 1.5. Well, more like 1.3. Turns out, Manika does love Hikari back. She was just temporarily infatuated with Tsumugu because, she was new to the surface and all of that. Of course, this information doesn't get revealed until the second last episode. The second is that Chisaki eventually likes Tsumugu back. I think. Also, Kaname said he will start looking at Sayu like a lady, but that's the same thing as saying maybe, so we're not really going to count that shit. We'll put that in the 0.3. At any rate, from that description in my magnificent diagram, you could just see how annoying the romance gets. They just keep adding more and more unrequited loves, and the fact that they focus on it so much bogs the show down. Like, the more and more characters they add to this love web, the more and more characters are gonna get their heart broken. She had her heart broken big time, he had his heart broken, he had his heart broken, and she had her heart broken. Like, that's just not good, enjoyable writing to watch. Nearly half the cast lose. And then there was just fucking Tsumugu, who was like,
お前は俺のことが好きだ。
まだ考えてる途中？私が誰を好きなのか。
いや、やっぱり千咲は俺のことが好きだと思う。
I swear to God, I was half expecting this guy to pull out a Glock 9 and say, no bitch, you do love me. Like, the fuck was he on? In the end, I guess he was right, although Chisaki didn't have much choice because the guy she loved is in middle school and she's an adult now, so there is that. The biggest problem I have is that the entire series seems to focus around this massive love web. They have such a cool concept with the underwater people, but they spend the entire fucking 26 episodes going into so much detail about this he love, she love, I love, we love, they love nonsense. Instead of things like the impending ice age or bringing the people of the sea and the surface together, it's just this massive mess. I knew it was and had gone so downhill when Kaname confessed his love for Chisaki in episode 11, because by that point, it was apparent that they could not come up with anything more interesting than unrequited love. It was just annoying. It kept on being annoying. The thing is, though, none of them were resolved in a nice, satisfying manner. Let's start with our main couple, Hikari and Manika. Hikari confesses his love right before the ceremony, but they fall into a deep sleep. And then Manika wakes up and any memories of her being loved are erased because she no longer had a heart to love. All the way up until the second last episode, Hikari and everybody else, like Chisaki, Kaname, and me, continue to think that Manika loves Tsumugu. I mean, okay, granted, I didn't think she liked Tsumugu. I had the halfway point, but all of the other characters do. Turns out, Manika confessed to Tsumugu that she loves Hikari 5 years ago! And Tsumugu just kept this rather important, vital information to himself. Especially because Hikari was trying to figure out how to get Monika's memories back. He was like, the person she loved has to do all this stuff for her. And Tsumugu was just like, nah. The way Hikari finds out is when a stone that Manika falls into the ocean when they do that second Ofunuki. It has all of her feelings into it, and the feelings melt into the ocean when Hikari goes in to rescue her. But after that, nothing changes. They don't even say they love each other to their faces, let alone hold hands or, God forbid, kiss. Like, it would have been nice for the two of them to say it at least just to their faces, instead of just, you already know what I'm gonna say. Like, you spent 26 episodes focusing on the romance, and this is what we get? This is our payoff? The two of them sitting on a log, not even blushing. What a blue ball. And it's the same for Chisaki and Tsumugu. Chisaki never says she's in love with Sumugu, and the most we ever get is her letting him hug her, after he repeatedly says,
お前は俺のことが好きだ。
like, hello? Missing plot resolution. If spotted, please call PA Works. Like, damn, bro, it's clear she loves him, so she could at least accept that for herself, because realistically, she never does. The last relevant scene we see is that she says she's not allowed to be happy, and then their relationship is just never brought up again. Like, okay, if you wanted to show that she did over time, at least show a small time skip at the end. But damn, you have to give some closure. You have to tie these loose plot points together. Damn, and speaking of closure, God, don't get me started on Kaname. Just kidding, I'm gonna get started on Kaname. This guy gets zero closure, and he pivots so fast, it gave me whiplash. In the 24th episode, Sumugu and Chisaki are having a conversation, where Kaname is listening in, clearly pained that Sumugu is the one talking to her. Sayu is then stalking Kaname and sees how pained he is. Anyway, Kaname walks out and Sayu follows him and tells him that she cares about him and that she was waiting for him. Then, he says that he will start looking properly at Sayu. And that's it! Kaname whiplash is so hard, I'm out here walking around with a broken neck. Because literally moments ago, this guy was in pain over having Sumugu be there for Chisaki. And now all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I'll think about my future with you, Sayu. Like, what? Where did all of the feelings you had for Chisaki for basically your whole life go? Chisaki doesn't even acknowledge his feelings, and his relationship with Sayu, unlike others, is set up so you have to infer what happens next. You know what? Okay, fine. Having one couple where we have to infer is fine, and Kaname has never been the main focus of the show, but having every single relationship end where I have to infer they get together is awful. It sucks and it makes for terrible writing, especially when the two main parties, Manaka and Hikari, know they love each other. Like, that's just not a good ending, and it left me so unsatisfied. Now, I'm getting into the nitpicking here, so nitpicking warning, but I'm gonna go off, because this was just a thought that came to me when watching. The Ofuneki is a ceremony where the people of the surface send a sacrifice to the sea god. So what the fuck were they expecting when they threw Akari onto the boat? Like, she was literally the sacrifice, and when the sea god came to collect, everyone acted all surprised and shit and tried to pull her out. Like, what? If I was a god and my people sent me a sacrifice, but right when I was like, thank you, and I was about to receive, they act all shocked and try to take it away? Yeah, I'm gonna be pissed too. And then they do the Ofuneki again. They do it again. I'm sure everyone knows the definition of insanity, but it's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So when they do the Ofuneki again, and the same shit happens, why do they act all shocked and try to stop it? Like, what? They only got lucky because the feelings of the Ojoshi dolls melted into the ocean. Like, damn, man, what the were they expecting? At any rate, the show wasn't entirely bad. The first few episodes were pretty enjoyable, showing the kids having to go to the surface as well as adjusting to the different lifestyle while slowly making friends. So were the first few episodes after the time skip, because that was more about Kaname and Hikari, as well as Chisaki having to come to terms with the world they lived in now 5 years later, as well as the consequences of their action. There were some enjoyable characters, to be honest. I enjoyed Uroko, as well as the teacher, and despite my poor guy having one of the worst endings out of all of the characters, Kaname was probably my favorite. Also, I do want to say the animation was gorgeous. The environment of Shio Shishio looked really cool, and despite it was just Greece, it was a real vibe. And for my last good point, the first ending, banger. All in all, man, this show was just annoying and obnoxious. Like, they took a really interesting idea and bogged it down with this horrendous love web that they spent so much time focusing on, for the end to have absolutely no satisfying resolution. Yeah, sure, they maybe got together, but we barely see it. For me, it was a 5 out of 10. Those were my thoughts on A Lull in the Sea. Thanks for watching.